Hello everybody, this is Sam and we're talking about project management, and then different sessions we talked about different aspects of project management. Now we're going to talk about one important thing: stakeholder management. Stakeholder management is a very important part of project management, because a lot of projects fail since the project manager is not able to take care of the needs of the stakeholders. So often they have a lot of issues, they are requesting some changes, or they're not involved in the exercise of creating a project plan or helping in building the project. So it is very important that for a PMP certified project manager to get as much help from stakeholders as possible. A. B. Help stakeholders meet their needs. Help stakeholders achieve their goals with respect to your project. So it is important that as a PMP certified project manager, we follow the processes that are involved as far as the PMBOK 5th edition is concerned. Now, there are just simply 4 processes there, friends. And if you look at stakeholder management, you will see it starts thinking about who are the key stakeholders in your project. Stakeholder management, right? So you say, all right, I have the sponsor. Everybody knows sponsor is a very important stakeholder. So you start with finding out the stakeholders. Or in the PMBOK language, you say, identify stakeholders. What you do is you start looking at the key people who are going to help you in the project. Now, again, friends, stakeholders, as I try to visualize, are 4 types. Some they are like aliens. They have 3 thorns here. Some have 2. Some have 1 and some have none. And look at the sizes. They are big and small. And if you look at this, sometimes they are sad. So sometimes they are positive, helping you. Sometimes they're negative because they might block your project. So as a project manager, you really need to know what these stakeholders are, and depending on these I's, there are actually 5 I's with respect to a stakeholder. And what are those 5 I's? Well, the first thing is the interest of the stakeholder. How much interested they are in your project. As a project manager, you have to really get them interested in your project. Once they are interested, how involved they are, that's the second I. Involvement of a key stakeholder, like a sponsor, like a customer, like a senior VP of business or projects, like a marketing manager. So all these senior people, how much involved they are in your project is the key to the success of your project. So once you know that they are interested and involved, you want to get them engaged, right? So you need to understand what impact they can bring to the project. That's the next I here. The 4th I is the influence. How much influence they have. They have a lot of impact and influence on your project, then you're really interested in working with them. If they cannot influence anything on your project, if they don't have much impact, then you as a project manager want to be very focused and deal with stakeholders who can add value to your project, right? So that's what you do, friends, here. And the last one here is that interdependencies. There are a lot of interdependencies between different stakeholders. So you understand those interdependence elements and try to solve them. So friends, that's what you do. You find out in your project who are the key stakeholders, and then you create a list of those stakeholders. You do stakeholder analysis. Now, what is this analysis? Stakeholder analysis is nothing else but you categorize stakeholders based on the interest and the influence, right? So influence we put here and interest we put here, and we create a grid. So you'll see here those which have very high interest and high influence, you need to manage them closely. Those with little influence and little interest, you put minimum effort on that. It's like neck knee, right? On the other hand, those with high influence but low interest, you keep them satisfied. Those with high interest but low influence, you keep them informed. This is like a kiss, right? So see, this is how you create a stakeholder matrix. You can use this, or you can create a salience model in which you categorize people based on their, power, urgency, and legitimacy. Well, these are different ways on the basis of which you categorize different stakeholders, and you put them in a list called stakeholder list. Once you've done that, friends, then you go about planning your stakeholders. What is your stakeholder management plan? How are you going to deal with them? How are you going to work with them? Stakeholders, they create problems for you, they help you sometimes. So it is up to you, how do you engage with them? How do you communicate with them? Face to face or push or pull strategy, different types of communications, right? The important ways of communicating is, this set of people you say I'll engage in face to face because they are very important for me. This set of stakeholder, let's say CEO of your company, you will send emails, which is more like a push communication. Or pull communication, let's say, okay, we'll go and put the information on the intranet, and they're going to pull out all the information that they need. So what you're doing is, you're designing a communication strategy with all your key stakeholders, and you're planning about how are you going to manage communications with these key stakeholders to keep them happy and satisfied. Once you're done with that, friends, then you go about managing stakeholders. Now, stakeholders have a lot of expectations, right? They have issues with your project, they have concerns with your project. So as a project manager, how are you dealing with these things is important, right? You have to continuously understand and solve the problem with the stakeholders. So that is a part of managing stakeholders. And then lastly, friends, once you have managed them, then making sure that their expectations are being met, or the engagement, stakeholder engagement programs are working. So what does that mean? It means that in order to see that your programs that you've designed to keep stakeholders engaged and satisfied and happy with your project, you continuously monitor that system to see that everything is going good and they're achieving their goals from you and you're achieving their goals from them, to take care of the stakeholder management. So that is basically a nutshell of the stakeholder management knowledge area, and the key goal here is to ensure that the stakeholders are engaged, happy, the issues, concerns, problems are taken care of and addressed as you go along in the project.